Hi, my name is Carla Fuentes. I'm a youth organizer at the Youth Justice Coalition, and we're right here gathered at the in front of the Fusion Center because this is where the files are gathered and stored and shared to the intelligence data that violates our basic human rights to privacy and civil liberties. Um, many of many of these files are entered like in a gang database where it's over those out of the 200,000 people that are in that gang database, more than 500 are under 10 years old, and they're the young people that are entered to this gang database, and eventually they get locked up and thrown into a system that eventually they can't get out of. Many of these kids, like now, we passed a bill called Senate Bill 458, which means that they could go to any police department from their area and try and see if they've been put in the gang database. Many of the times when you're stopped and they put your name in a notepad and they ask you where you're from or what they call you, or they ask you for your information, many of that information is thrown into a gang database, and many of these people aren't even gang members just because they talk to. Sometimes their family might be might look like if they are affiliated, but they're not. And just because they're around them, that means that to the cops, that means that they are gang members. And now with Senate Bill 458, if they are anybody could just go into the police department and say that and ask if they were put in a gang database. But at the moment, there's no way to appeal it. Hopefully soon there will be, but for now, there's no way. And I'm right here at the Fusion Center. We're here to try and shut it down and to stop the funding for the Fusion Centers and to release all suspicious activity reports and other secret files. Thank you. Thank you.
So early this morning, before everybody got here, we sent the delegation team in there to go in there and just kind of like shut the place down, get our SARS back and bring them all back to everybody else. So Jim Rafferty from the National Lawyer Guild is going to come out here and give a report back on what happened when they went up in there. Give him a hand.
Yeah, hi. I'm Jim Rafferty, the director of the National Lawyers Guild, and I had been asked on behalf of the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition to file with the Fusion Center what is called a Public Records Act request. This is something that is done all the time. It's provided for by state and federal law. We have, of course, had every right to file it. Now, the politicians like to tell us we live in a free country, right? So let me tell you what happened in the free country this morning when we attempted to exercise our constitutional rights. A few of us were able to get up to the 7th floor. Oh, interestingly enough, on the elevator with us were other residents of the building saying, "What's on the 7th floor? We've never seen anybody be able to get up to the 7th floor. We don't know who's up there." We told them it was a spying agency and their eyes got big. Well, we got up to the 7th floor, we went to the door, and as we approached the door of the Fusion Center offices, some other employees walked out, so I held the door open, and I said, "Hi, we're here to file some papers. Who do we talk to?" Immediately, a bunch of thuggish sort of guys appeared, including a very large sheriff's deputy, and said we'd have to close the door. This was private property. I said, "Wait a minute, why do you have a government seal up on the wall if it's private?" "Oh, well, you're going to have to leave, and I have to close the door now." And I said, "Well, I have to keep the door open until I can hand this document to somebody because that's what I'm here for." At which point they said, "Well, we've asked somebody to come out and take the document from you." Well, this went back and forth for a few minutes, but nobody came. Finally, this very burly sheriff came out, grabbed me, threw me out of the way, slammed the door shut, and all I was able to do was slide this through the crack in the door. And we'll, of course, mail it to them as well. But I think the fact that they would not even acknowledge that they are a government office, the fact that they would not let that of the National Lawyers Guild on behalf of a well-recognized group in this town, in this city, present a document authorized by state law to be filed on them, says something about the mentality of the government and the They are unworthy of anything that claims to be a free society. They are reminiscent of a totalitarian state.
That's right.
And the people and the individuals, including the sheriff's deputies who then confronted us later in this whole encounter, behaved like the thugs in a totalitarian system react and relate. So I am so pleased that you are here, because as the history of this world and of totalitarian regimes shows, you can't elect your way out of a totalitarian regime. You can't pray your way out of it. You can only organize your way out of it. Only if you get into the streets, if you demand that the totalitarianism, the spying centers, the fusion centers are shut down, and your money is no longer paid for them to spy on you, only then will we be able to say we live in a free country. So thank you, sisters and brothers.
Down, big brother.
Our last speaker, and then we're going to open up for a little bit of conversation too, so people that want to share their own concerns or their own stories have a chance to do that. But our last speaker is really the person that galvanized all our attention to this issue, that did the initial research about the fact that this even existed, that pulled the curtain back from the secret spying that was going on in LA and was being shared across the nation and duplicated across the nation. And that's Hamed Khan, who's the coordinator, the lead organizer for the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition.
Shut it down! Shut it down! No more spies! No more lies! No more secret files! No more spies! No more lies! No more secret files! No more lies! No more lies! No more secret files! Thank you all very much. Here we have almost 1,800 of lives that are being bared. 1,800 people who are now just a small sample of what is going on into these fusion centers. This is an example. What you also have is few of the samples, people are wearing them, walking around. High school students, college professors, Guatemalan tourists, people just minding their own business, everyday affair, political activists. Now we know what the fusion centers do. Now we know how a political activist, an employee of the Fusion Center, infiltrated an anti-war movement in Washington State. Now we know the Mall of America, 1,200 shoppers went into the Fusion Center database as well. Now we know that what the U.S. Senate has done, that this is a complete waste of our resources, it is a complete waste of our time, and they have found nothing. Nothing at all. The only way we can do it is to organize. We're not going to depend on political leaders. We're not going to depend on legislation. We're not going to depend on the law. Because we know what the federal judges do. They're on the side of the government. We even had a decision that came out day before yesterday where a federal judge said that we should not even be challenging the federal government. We should just blindly follow the federal government. We just had another news yesterday, a day before, that the LAPD cops themselves in South Central Los Angeles were disabling all the antennas that would capture their voices when they would go into people's homes. 90 out of the 300 disabled them. So what do we have left? They are watching us. Who's going to watch them? Woo! We're going to watch them. We're going to shut it down through this kind of organizing. Today is one of the first times that a national day of action is taking place. This campaign is building up. This movement is building up. And we need to put our energies together. The last thing I want to say is that I'm also an immigrant from Pakistan. And like historically speaking, all these policies have been built by criminalizing and creating the other. The enemy other. The enemy that we need to protect ourselves. It was the black face, it was the indigenous face, it was the Chicano face, it was the Asian face, and now it's the terrorist face. And through these faces, they have been paraded in our cultural imagination. These faces have been paraded in our political imagination, in our political structure, in our law enforcement. But what do we find? We are finding now that 82% of these SARs are being opened up on people of color. The largest sample is on African Americans. So that is, we are all the other. We are the other. And this other is the strongest other they're yet to face. So we're going to dismantle it, we're going to bring it down, and we're going to keep on pumping it up. Thank you all.